the sun in the palm of my hand.
Hey Spider-Man fans, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. We got another Spider-Man 3 update to bless the neighborhood here. It's been a long time, and boy, do we have a lot of juicy details going on right now, because we just had Alfred Molina, the man famous for playing Doctor Octopus in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, just went ahead and spilled the beans on a lot of exciting things that he's going to be doing in Spider-Man No Way Home with Tom Holland. I think, to me, also basically confirming Tobey Maguire being part of this movie. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm going to need you Spider-Man fans, leave me your opinions down below after you hear everything I've discussed here with the comments Alfred Molina has made. What do you make of what he said right here? This is now 100% without a doubt. Doctor Octopus is actually in the movie. He's not one of the characters we have to wonder and speculate how he's in there, as well as let me know down below your theories on how they're bringing him in, because he's being a little bit ambiguous here. Alright, so all this information is coming from Variety. They went ahead and had the exclusive where they went ahead and interviewed Alfred Molina himself, and he went ahead and finally just talked about his role involved in Spider-Man 3. We heard for a while that he was part of the movie. It first started off as a rumor through some smaller movie news websites, and then the big actual credible websites went ahead and confirmed that he's part of the movie, but still people were skeptical and didn't see how he could fit in, especially since his Spider-Man is from a completely different universe. How is he going to be fighting Tom Holland? And right here he mentions that this was supposed to be a big secret. He goes ahead and says, when we were shooting it, we were all under orders not to talk about it because it was supposed to be some great big secret. Molina said with a laugh during an interview with Variety about his role in the Oscar-nominated Promising Young Woman. But you know, it's all over the internet. I actually describe myself as the worst kept secret in Hollywood. So that is the confirmation we need. Dr. Octopus is part of this movie. He was supposed to keep quiet about it. No one was supposed to know, but somehow, some way, almost everything about Spider-Man 3 entitled Spider-Man No Way Home has leaked online. I mean, we're hearing the Spider-Verse is happening with Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. That's still unconfirmed, but we do have confirmed Doctor Strange being part of it, Alfred Molina, Doctor Octopus, Jamie Foxx's Electro, and there's even rumblings that Charlie Cox's Daredevil is making an appearance in this movie as Peter's lawyer. It's kind of strange to parallel that with like Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness, which is supposed to tie into Spider-Man 3, and that film is 1 week away from being done shooting, and we know absolutely nothing about it other than the fact that it's Doctor Strange and Wanda teaming up for some multiverse craziness. That kind of just goes to show you the level of secrecy they have on set compared to a Sony Pictures movie and a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And if anything, that should kind of excite you about Doctor Strange 2, because that means there are some crazy secrets in that movie that they are keeping locked away until we finally see that film. But back to Spider-Man No Way Home. When asked about working on Spider-Man 2 and then bringing that character back to life, he says, "It was wonderful. It was very interesting going back after 17 years to play the same role, given that in the intervening years I have now 2 chins, a Waddle's crow feet, and a slightly dodgy lower back." Now I know the man is piling on himself, but he's building up to something that is a big secret in this movie that I can't believe he just revealed, but he basically confirms that Marvel will be de-aging Alfred Molina as part of this movie, for sure hinting at the fact that they want him to look the way he did in Spider-Man 2 in that Sam Raimi universe, almost letting us know he's the exact same Doctor Octopus being pulled into Tom Holland's universe. Otherwise, what's the big difference if he looks older or if he looks as young as he did in Spider-Man 2? If this is supposed to be a whole new incarnation and Tom Holland's version of Doctor Octopus, I don't think that age discrepancy really matters all that much. The article goes on to say, when the actor asked John Watts, the director of No Way Home, how the movie would bring back Doc Ock back since he pointed out I died, Molina said the director told him in this universe no one really dies, which yeah, is one of the biggest complaints going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is that there are rare number of characters that actually stay dead and others that are managed to be brought back to life over and over again. It feels maybe like they're being a little more strict with that with like Tony Stark and Captain America, but we'll see how that goes on a couple more movies or TV shows down the line. And here with talking to John Watts and him telling him that in this universe no one really dies, he is the same version that we saw in Sam Raimi's universe. Even more confirmed when right here in the article they say, in their early conversations conversations, Molina said Watts told him that the movie will pick up Doc Ock's story from that moment in the river, which in a franchise that includes multiverses, time travel, and diverging timelines seems plausible enough. That moment in particular that they're talking about is where Doctor Octopus essentially dies at the end of Spider-Man 2, where he takes that sun-like technology, throws it down the river, and then drowns with it. Ever since the news that Doctor Octopus's Alfred Molina would be showing up in this movie, there has been just countless fan theories about how it's possible, especially if he's going to be the exact same version that we saw in Spider-Man 2, and now they kind of confirmed a little fan theory here that it seems like Alfred Molina's Doctor Octopus gets sucked into that sun from Spider-Man 2 and it transports him to another universe instead of killing him the way we thought it would. Otherwise, what does it mean by in that moment picking right back up? Is there maybe a deleted scene of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man going back down into that river and pulling him out? I feel like that's something Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man would do, but then again, it was never mentioned in the continuing sequels and there was no hint of that happening. Spider-Man just kind of let him die. So if part of their conversations was to bring him back from that moment, then yeah, this is the exact same Doctor Octopus, and that blows my mind because we had Jamie Foxx confirming that his version of Electro would for sure be a different version because he posted on Instagram that he was not going to be blue, essentially saying he's not the same Electro that we saw in Amazing Spider-Man. Maybe some of these multiverse characters that'll be coming in will be from previous movies and others will get Ralph Bonered like Jamie Foxx, where there'll be a whole new incarnation that the MCU will bring to life. But here, going on to detailing more about the de-aging and how they're going to bring him to life, he says Molina's concerns were practical. He said that he asked Watts how they were going to deal with the fact that at 67 he's aged since the 2004 film. He just looked at me and said, "Did you see what we did to Bob Downey Jr. and Sam Jackson?" Molina said with a laugh in 2016's Captain America Civil War, Marvel Studios used CGI to de-age Robert Downey Jr. to look as he did in 1991, and in 2019's Captain Marvel, also set in the 1990s, a de-aged Samuel Jackson played by a younger version of his character Nick Fury. Molina also cited Martin Scorsese's The Irishman as an example of digital de-aging and his limitations. That could be scary for one of two reasons, because one, that could let us know how much time Alfred Molina's Doctor Octopus actually has in Spider-Man No Way Home. Since this guy was supposed to be a big secret, we don't know if he's the main villain of the film in the movie from the beginning all the way to the end, or if there's just some big giant multiverse battle in the last final act of Spider-Man 3 where he was going to pop in from his universe, and then that added up to maybe 5-10 minutes of screen time where that amount of de-aging is plausible. Because remember, de-aging a character on screen is extremely expensive, that even with that Marvel Cinematic Universe money, it's not something they like to do for a long time. So this right here might hint at how much time we get to see of Alfred Molina's Doctor Octopus. It doesn't seem like it'll be long if they're gonna de-age him. I also just now got hit with the realization, if they're de-aging Alfred Molina's Doctor Octopus and Tobey Maguire will show up, they're gonna de-age Tobey Maguire and bring him back to his bully Maguire. I love you, Marvel! That is pretty insane and could have a lot of repercussions for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or heck, even the Sam Raimi universe of the Spider-Man world, because if they're going back to that time of Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina, this could mean that they're retconning Spider-Man 3 like it never happened. You guys know Sam Raimi is not a fan of his Spider-Man 3 because of all the studio meddling and the fact that he had to force Venom into the movie last minute and then everything got mixed around, and well, even though over time we've grown to like that movie, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes ahead and retcons it and then Marvel lets him make Spider-Man 3 the way he wanted to instead of Spider-Man 4 like we were all thinking. But could they really de-age Tobey Maguire for an entire movie? I don't know. It's really unbelievable to me that Alfred Molina spilled this many beans during this interview. I don't know how Kevin Feige's gonna feel about all that, but if it's his exact same version coming back and they're picking up right where they left off in the river, why would you not bring back Tobey Maguire to round up one of his villains? But also the confusing factor is Doctor Octopus kind of redeemed himself by the end of that movie. He went back to the good side. He realized that the AI inside those tentacles was tainting his brain, and that's why he was doing all this nonsense. So he kind of became a good guy by the end of the movie. How are they going to explain that now he went back? I'm really curious to see how that will go down, but I want to hear from you guys. Alfred Molina as Doctor Octopus just went ahead and shared all these details. How do you feel about it? What could you speculate and wonder what will be going on? Do you think they'll give him a whole new suit? Do you think this confirms Tobey Maguire's involvement? Anything and everything, be sure to like and subscribe Follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. As always, I'm Chris. Take care.